Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Benchwarmer Sports. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day, except for you. Yeah, you, the guy who wants to trade Nick Chubb. Whoever you are, hopefully, you're not having a good day. But, anyways, guys, jokes aside, there was a huge rumor going around last night on Brown's Twitter. And it comes from here, this report from JPA Football. He says that Mark Sessler, who is a Browns reporter, or used to be a Browns fan over at the NFL Network, he said yesterday that there are little whispers that the Browns could trade superstar running back Nick Chubb to fix their cap situation. Browns are likely to let Kareem Hunt sign elsewhere in free agency, so wouldn't have any legitimate options at running back in this situation, so a trade might be unlikely. Browns could also clear significant cap space by adjusting DeSean Watson's contract along with other smaller moves. Now, this one little rumor just ignited Brown's Twitter last night. It probably ignited all of the talk show hosts on the radio in Cleveland and all that different stuff. And I mean, Browns fans just went like absolutely apoplectic with even the thought of the Browns maybe moving on from Nick Chubb. Okay, but we see here from Mary Kay Cabot, the Browns reporter for the Cleveland.com, she basically refutes this claim and says that the Browns have no plans to trade Nick Chubb. DeSean Watson's contract likely to be restructured by week's end. And, you know, if I was the Browns, I don't even understand why you would trade Nick Chubb to fix the cap space when DeSean Watson literally has it in his contract to where he can get restructured. His contract can get restructured where he can only get like $2 million in base salary, and the rest of his contract would be treated as a bonus, therefore not being directly hit on the cap. Okay? So that's the thing that people need to pay attention to, is that more than likely the Browns are going to restructure DeSean's contract, because if his contract's not going to get restructured, you're looking at like a $53 million cap hit when his contract takes effect, okay? But what Tony Grossi said on, the morning radio a couple weeks ago, basically the Browns have an option in the contract that says that they can give DeSean maybe $2 to $3 million in direct cap hit and a cap hit, and then treat the rest of his contract like a bonus. So it would not be tied directly to the cap, and instead he might be like a $2 to $3 million cap hit instead of like a $52 million cap hit. So that is what they're going to do. Okay, that is what the Browns are going to do. They're not going to trade Nick Chubb. They would be absolutely stupid to trade Nick Chubb. Okay, so everybody who is thinking that the Browns could trade Nick Chubb, or if you're thinking that you want to trade Nick Chubb, it's not going to happen. It will never happen. Probably not for another couple of years until his legs give out. So everybody just needs to calm down. I know people on the radio might be talking about it, might be freaking out that the Browns even thought about trading Nick Chubb. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. So everybody just needs to calm down. But there is another report I want to share with you guys that I thought was really interesting. And it comes from Matthew Berry, TMR. I think he's with NBC Sports. But he decided to basically share his thoughts about the Browns offense going into next season, because everybody knows Jacoby Brissett, starter for a majority of the year last year. Offense was really, kind of milquetoast, to be honest. And DeSean Watson gets in there. He struggles. Jacoby Brissett had a lot more success in the offense that Kevin Stefanski had last year. And, a lot of times we were relying on Nick Chubb a little bit. Sometimes we were relying on Jacoby Brissett. But last year, DeSean Watson gets in there, and we can sort of see that it was starting to get a little bit different and a lot more RPOs, especially for Watson and that. But Matthew Berry here goes on, and this is from Ed Greenberger, and he goes that from Matthew Berry, expect the Browns offense to be DeSean Watson's, not Nick Chubb's, with more five-wide stuff and much more passing, okay? So it looks like Kevin Stefanski Alex Van Pelt are going to be tailoring more to DeSean Watson rather than Nick Chubb. I think a lot of Browns fans are going to be upset by that because everybody, including myself, we always argue, give Nick Chubb the ball more, okay? We want not like Derrick Henry level carries for Nick Chubb, but more than, 12 times a game, right? Well, here, Matthew Berry is kind of implying that's probably not going to be the case anymore. And it may be the fact that Nick Chubb may only get like 13, 14 carries a game now. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Browns fans, including myself, I'm not saying I'm going to be okay with it by the time the season starts, but it's going to be very interesting to see how Browns fans are going to react to it. It's very interesting to see how much, they're going to lean on DeSean this year. But anyways, let's get into what Matthew Berry had to say. So he starts, Cleveland's offense is going to be really interesting next year. Look for the Browns to add a speed wide receiver this offseason to go with Amari Cooper. One source told me they are really going to open up the offense, go 5 wide, pass a lot. This is going to be DeSean Watson's offense, not Nick Chubb's. They will pass a lot more than folks expect. So I'm very interested to see what the Browns are going to be willing to do because it's no secret DeSean struggled last year. We all know this, okay? And a lot of people have been doom and gloom about DeSean because, he didn't play as advertised in those 6 games, right? But you also have to factor in the guy did not play football professionally for 700 days, okay? He did not play at all. I don't even think he played like farther from that. Like I would say he didn't. I don't even know if he practiced with the Texans. So he may have not even played football or practiced football like normally in an NFL setting for 700 plus days. Okay, so DeSean Watson was rusty. I think he was like 56% completion rating or completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Just not that great. The game against Washington, he was okay. He wasn't that great, but he had 3 touchdowns, so it kind of made up for the fact that he wasn't that great. But this fact that they're going to lean heavy into DeSean kind of scares me a little bit, just because I think they may be putting a little bit too much pressure on him. But the problem is that they paid $230 million for him. He's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback. You're paying him like a top 5 quarterback, hell, like a top 3 quarterback. So I get the fact that you want to lean on DeSean. My only issue is that with what we saw last year, I think the problem for him is going to be more mental than physical. I think physically he'll be fine. I think physically he'll be back to like the same player he was back in Houston. I don't have any qualms or concerns about that. It's mentally, with all the stuff that he's been accused of, the court proceedings, the public backlash, the PR disaster that, he created on himself. Don't get me wrong, that he caused himself from, just bad decisions when it comes to interviews, when it comes to just saying stuff, when it comes to not saying stuff. He created some of the situation for himself. Most of the situation for himself. Let me clarify. So the mental side, I think, is going to be the biggest key. Can DeSean Watson get that killer instinct back that he had in Houston? Can he go back to the guy that led the league in passing yards and absolutely balled out with a bunch of no-names, right? I mean, he had DeAndre Hopkins. He went to the playoffs, I think, twice, right? He went to the playoffs twice. So I think the Browns are really going to hone in on DeSean's ability. I would like to see them do more RPO style offenses with more QB runs. I would love to see that more. But it's very interesting. They're saying that they're going to pass a lot more. My only issue is how many times a game are you going to have DeSean pass? Are you going to have him throw? Like, what is a lot? What is a lot? And I think that's what my question is. Because it says here, Matthew Berry says here, that the source told him they will pass a lot more than folks expect. Well, what is the expectation? What is the set amount that, what are we talking more than 35, 40, 45 times a game. I think if you're getting up there in those territories, I don't know if you're honing in for. I don't think you're that successful in my opinion, unless DeSean goes back to the 2020 form or the 2019 form. I don't think that's successful. I really don't, because I think you have the top running back in the league, at least one of the top running backs in the league, in Nick Chubb. If you're only going to use him 12 times a game or whatever, I don't know. But let's go on here with what Matthew Berry says. So he goes, I was told to go back and look at the Browns-Steelers game from Week 18. In that game, the opening kickoff temperature was in the 30s, cold as hell, and the over-under was 39.5. People expected a low-scoring, cold weather, typical AFC North game. Instead, even as cold and windy as the conditions were, Cleveland threw it 29 times while Nick Chubb ran it 12 times in a 28-14 loss for the Browns. Yes, they were down, but my source said that will be much closer to the norm for Cleveland next year. Tons of passing attempts for Watson, likely closer to 40 a game in reasonable weather, with like 12 rushing attempts for Chubb and maybe a few touches for Jerome Ford. So there's the answer to my question. What is the set amount that the Browns are looking for? Well, what Matthew Berry says is that the source told him closer to 40 times a game that they're going to pass the ball for DeSean in reasonable weather. Okay? Well, the problem is that Cleveland's weather is very unpredictable. Reasonable weather, what is reasonable weather? Okay? It can be cold, like they said, cold, 30 in the 30s, but it was sunny. It was cold and windy, but it was sunny. Okay? In Pittsburgh last year for the last game. So if they're saying 40 times a game for, reasonable weather, that only gives you like a 2-month window from September to maybe November, early November, to like have reasonable weather. So I don't know. I just think that they're really, really, really going to be putting a lot of more pressure on DeSean this year. Granted, that's what they should do. The only problem is DeSean Watson going to be that guy? Is he going to be that guy from Houston again? And from what it seems like, from what Matthew Berry is reporting, it sure seems like they have a lot of confidence that he is going to be the guy from Houston. Now, I did see from another tweet, from another article, that the Browns are planning to utilize Nick Chubb in the passing game more from the backfield. So who knows? I mean, could be Nick Chubb could be getting like 18 touches a game, not from carries, but from also receiving. Nick Chubb's not the greatest receiver from the backfield. That was more Kareem Hunt's specialty. But with Kareem Hunt going to be leaving here in free agency, definitely interested to see. Now, another thing that I thought was very interesting comes from Mary Kay Cabot as well. She wrote this very, very, very detailed article here in Cleveland.com, and definitely you guys should read it if you can. She goes in about what the Browns are thinking, what they should be doing. You see, Kareem Hunt, Ronnie Harrison Jr., other free agents who won't be back. She talks about Greedy Williams, Jadeveon Clowney leaving in free agency, that they're not going to try and re-sign them. Anthony Walker and Sione Takitaki should be able to return. Ethan Posich likely test the market, and the Browns are really high on Nick Harris. We know that because he beat Posich in the training camp. Got hurt on like the second snap of preseason, just a freak injury all around. But this is the one that I am really interested in. Running back Dearness Johnson has a decent chance to be back. Now, for me, Dearness Johnson is a really good running back. I think he's a solid starter. He's not going to be one of like the top 10 running backs. I don't think so. He's a solid starter. I think he's a really, really, really good backup. I think he's one of the best backup backs in the NFL. The only problem is the Browns didn't use him last year. They didn't. They used him a lot in 21 when people had COVID and the teams were injured. The team was injured to hell and back. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were injured for like I think the Denver game or they had one of them had COVID and then the other one was injured, so they brought in DeSean Johnson and then he broke out, right? But let's see what she says here. So Johnson closed out the 2020, I think it's going to be 2022 season, frustrated that he got so few opportunities to touch the ball. He ran it 4 times for 17 yards, caught 3 passes for 7 yards, and returned 1 kickoff for 27 yards. But the Browns, who paid Johnson $1.2 million in 2022, are open to re-signing him. With Hunt gone, there will be more opportunities for Johnson and 2022 fifth-round pick Jerome Ford. Now, that's all fine and good, right? But I feel like we're in the same predicament that we were in last year with DeSean Johnson. The last season, he got a lot more touches last year, or 2 years ago, in 2021, when, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were either hurt or sick. So he had more opportunities to get the ball, right? Well, last year, you had Nick Chubb basically healthy the entire year. Kareem Hunt, while he wasn't producing, still was healthy last year. And then you saw Jerome Ford start to get more opportunities, especially in the kickoff and in the kickoff game. So DeSean Johnson kind of went by the wayside, only in there for like a little bit, like this, right? Like Mary Kay says, if I'm DeSean Johnson or his agent, personally, I wouldn't resign back here, even though I think DeSean Johnson is a good player. I would honestly try and look elsewhere for playing opportunity. I don't know. I think the Browns, the Browns paid to get him back last year. They wanted him back last year, but they didn't use him. And if I'm DeSean Johnson, I would honestly just try and test the market, see what I can get from another team. Probably from a team that would, benefit from using me instead of keeping me on the sideline, right? So I just thought that was very interesting. That came out yesterday from Mary Kay Cabot. But, that's pretty much the most important news that I found from yesterday, from, even earlier today for you guys. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Are you guys worried about the offense next year? What are your guys' thoughts about the revamped offense going in for next year? Are you guys okay with Nick Chubb getting less carries if that means DeSean Watson passes more? Are you guys, do you guys believe that DeSean Watson can go back to his 2020 form in that MVP caliber form? Personally, I don't know. I'm skeptical about it. I have hope because he has shown in the past that he can do it. It just depends on the mental side. Like I said, can DeSean Watson get back to being that guy from Houston? Can he get back to have that killer instinct? And I think it's all mentally. He can get there physically, but it's all mental at this point for me. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Like the video, and if you are new and you like this type of content, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think we're at 527 right now. So if you guys like this type of content, like Cleveland sports, like sports in general, hit that subscribe button. Turn the bell on for notifications so you guys always know when I upload a video or go live. Got some Cavs content coming soon, and I have a really good Cavs video coming out soon, and some nice announcements will be coming in the future, so I can't wait to share those with you guys. But thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys all in another video.